This is CRM Audio, the Microsoft Business Applications podcast with Business Applications MVPs Shawn Tabor, George Doubinski, and Joel Lindstrom. This episode is brought to you by Kingswaysoft. Kingswaysoft is a leading integration solution provider offering software solutions that make data integration affordable and painlessly easy. Thousands of enterprise clients from over 80 countries and regions rely on Kingswaysoft to integrate data with various business systems in order to drive their business efficiency and fully leverage their information assets. We thank Kingswaysoft for sponsoring CRM Audio, the Microsoft Business Applications podcast.
And welcome to a new episode of CRM Audio, live from the CRM UG Summit here in Phoenix, Arizona. And you're probably wondering, that's not Joel. No, it's not. Joel is on assignment. What is Joel doing?
Eating, apparently.
Okay, so Joel is eating and could not come to the podcast. So filling in for Joel is a guest host from the At Your Service podcast, Mr. Scott LeFante. How's it going, Scott?
It's going well, Shawn. How are you?
I'm fantastic. And as always, we have Mr. George here.
Hello.
In the flesh.
Hello. Yeah, I've been traveling for a while, so that's... I've been in U.S. for over 3 weeks now, so it feels like I live here now, almost. But Scott, say you've got big shoes and a big head to fill on this podcast.
I do, and I don't. Those are big shoes and a big head. That's for sure. I don't know if I can fill that, but we'll give it a whirl.
Anyway, so what we're going to talk about? So we're here at CRM UG, and we had a couple of weeks ago, we had Ignite.
Yes, we did.
That was gigantic gathering.
Yes, it was. But you know, I was thinking this, and I was mentioning this to someone else earlier today. This conference, much larger than previous CRM UG conferences, and a lot more representation from the business app side for Dynamics. And the expo had that Ignite kind of feel. I'm not saying it's exactly like Ignite, but it had that kind of feel. So that was good to see. That was interesting.
Look, there are a couple figures. Like Ignite had over 20,000 people. I think it was close to 30,000 together with Inspire. That was at the same time, but it's by invite only, so it probably had like 5 people all up.
Right.
And the one thing that was kind of outstanding, definitely attracted my attention, was good backpack that was given away to attendees. And secondly, we had a big representation of business applications as a theme. Like, I think it was over 30 or even, I don't know the exact number, of 30 or 50 sessions dedicated to business applications. I did a rookie mistake. My talk wasn't accepted at Ignite because still old school. I had Dynamics 365 in my title, and these days it's a rookie mistake. Should have had Power Apps, and it would be a gold ticket just to slide in. But that's the change. It's been coming all along. Dynamics 365 still there, but the Power Platform becomes kind of theme of the day. So we're building on Power Platform now.
Yeah, definitely. It's not. And I'm also seeing less of a focus on the sales, the SFA, the standard CRM.
But it's gone.
Yeah,
standard CRM gone.
You don't see much of that at all anymore.
That's all done by Dynamics 365 for AI now,
right?
So, which
Pretty
is kind
much.
of in
Pretty
preview.
much,
One
yeah.
of them, which one? Customer service? No, sales is in preview.
There's sales, customer service, and marketing.
No, that's 3 coming up before the end of the year, I think.
Yep.
But sales is in preview now. You can sign up and get it.
But the way it serves up the data to you, it really makes it a complete different application than it used to be.
Oh, you're talking about different forms of insight. There was
Yeah.
inside that, inside this, and relationship insights. I did ask it during the session what's happening. So it's still there, but the way it works on a different scale using different technology. So what stands out for Dynamics 365 for AI and like for sales, it works at the back end. It works on technologies that scale. So data goes, for example, into Azure Data Lake. Microsoft testing and so designing their models using internal data, for example, for their sales force, which is like 40,000 salespeople, right? So it's enormous volume of data. So they're working on extensibility of the model. For example, if you already have a model and you have some custom data, custom fields that you want to bring in, it's going to change the way people consume the data, because until now you were just consuming the data. Okay, you could throw a pretty graph or pretty report. Okay, you can do average, you can do sum, but they're not actionable. Yes, you can say, oh, my average for this month is lower than usual, but what it doesn't tell you is why.
Right.
So it doesn't point you in the right direction. So definitely AI can do some cool stuff, and saying, I was impressed. Even something that sounds simple, that you had some doomed sale which had probability of happening 20%, and then it happened and it got you over the line for the month, for example. But AI would tell you that, say, Scott was instrumental in getting it over the line.
Right.
So maybe it's time to say thank you to Scott, and as a token of gratitude, invite him to a podcast.
Right.
There you go.
There you go.
Well, and I think you raise a good point, George. I mean, for years now, there really hasn't been. Let's take Sales Navigator, LinkedIn Sales Navigator, and things like that. But the core SFA process has just been that. I mean, there's been no movement in that. It's it's leads, it's opportunities, it's quote. There's been no real innovation, with the exception of a couple things like Relationships Insight and LinkedIn Sales Navigator. So this is, to me, gets you that additional insight as to the why that you might in the past spend countless hours trying to figure out, or just say, whatever. It is what it is.
That's my attitude.
Well, and I think
Towards sales, yeah. That's why I can't sell anything. Because I reach the point very quickly when I say, whatever.
Well, and I think AI being kind of a common thread throughout the entire platform now is basically
it's officially Dynamics 365 for AI,
right,
or Dynamics 365 AI for X.
Right. So I think that's going to enhance the way that the system surfaces data to you in ways that you may not have thought of on your own or have searched for it. But from a developer perspective, how does that AI layer either get you excited about capabilities, or does it complicate things? Does it make you have to have a total paradigm shift when you're building apps?
Well, there is tooling around AI, and it gets better. You have to have a good understanding how technologies like cognitive services, how they work. How, for example, in particular, it helps to understand how machine learning works. What are the models? It goes back to the courses that you probably had in uni, or skipped, or slept through, or just like stats and statistical analysis and things like that, right? There's no magic, so there's still science behind it, solid science, and understanding even foundation of methodologies and science behind it. It does help. I mean, there's no fundamental shift in that. You do need to have some kind of level of understanding of what's going on. It helps. But at the same time, Microsoft sort of kept abstracting technologies, and now we have things like cognitive services. I don't need to think twice before using kind of text-to-speech.
Right.
It's just there.
Right.
Or sentiment analysis. I just feed it, and it tells me, "Ooh, George is angry," which is pretty much all the time. So, And it's got, like in machine learning, you've got libraries like ML.NET, which kind of helps you to get into things like you haven't even thought about, like Apache Spark, things like you may have heard about, but you have no understanding how it works or what's not. So it kind of level of abstraction helps to get in, and then if you want to learn more, you can dive in and learn more. So there's definitely tooling around it, libraries, there's ML Studio that gets better and better and things like that. So there's tooling, but you have to start thinking like you have to change your approach. You're no longer building reports, you're no longer building kind of visuals, but you're trying to understand. You still have to do that, but you're trying to understand what can you do with this data. You have to be prepared to deal with large volumes of data, how to consume, how to build models, how to train them, how to train to produce results that make sense for business. So that's probably the most difficult part. As with any report, you start, what do you actually want to see? Why do you need this report?
But you don't. But the way that they're deploying this, they're democratizing it in such a way that you don't have to be a data scientist in order to get the most out of it.
Yeah, look, to start with, that's why you see Dynamics 365 AI for sales, right? Mm-hmm. So sales process is kind of well established. Yes, we do have opportunities, we do have quotes, sales orders, blah, 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 right? So it's a well-defined model. Don't get me started on CDM and all this other stuff, right? So it's well-defined, it's well-known, right? So now you have volume of data and you feed it in. So using this well-known module, they can actually build something that analyzes the data and has predictive analytics and what's not. When you go to configure it, it's kind of you tell the AI for sales what you actually want, what exactly do you want to achieve. Like there are a few knobs and levers you can fiddle with. And once you go beyond that, then yes, you can extend this model. So they're working on extensibility, and you can bring your own data, your own changes to the model if you want to, and so on and so forth. So it's early days. Like I want to dive more into it. Again, I mentioned it before a few times. Like there are good courses on EDX about machine learning. If you want to kind of data analysis, if you want to dive into it, just by all means, just go there. It's you need to commit few hours. Like you commit few hours every week, but by the time it ends, like you would commit for 10 weeks or so, like 3-4 hours every week. But you will have much better understanding of what's going on. Yep.
Yeah, it's really fascinating how they're enabling these tools for us and making it easier for the innovation to come through, right? You have more capabilities based on the imaginative process that you have in your design. They're reducing the blockades to entry. For example,
some people will be out of the job. Is that what you're trying to say?
That's what I'm kind of trying to say. But then they could build Power Apps, and they'll get a new job.
And get a new job as citizen developer building Power Apps.
I mean, you look at the whole augmented reality.
Right, mixed reality.
I was
reality
going to mention that.
Yeah.
You got it.
I mean,
official term is mixed reality.
Yeah, mixed reality, yeah.
Yes.
It's a variation. Like there are a few realities out there.
Yeah,
right.
There are some.
Well,
there's Shawn's reality.
Yeah, well, and with mixed reality, for example, the thing I thought of when I was at Ignite, I was able to do the remote assist demonstration, and I was able to do the layers. Have you actually tried it? Yeah.
Oh.
And it was fantastic. It was super cool.
But what exactly did you do? Like walk me through.
So for remote assist, you had the HoloLens on, and in one corner of your eye, someone on Teams popped in and said, "Hey, I'm going to walk you through the repair of this machine." And you had a machine in front of you. Simple, but it was a
time machine.
Well, it was like it had a door and a belt.
Time machine.
Yeah. So you're supposed to replace the belt. So he can see what you can see through your HoloLens.
That's scary.
And then he drew on the machine in front of you how the belt should look when you install it. So I had to take the belt off, and I had to go down and grab a new belt, put a
Did you fix
belt
it?
on. Yeah, I fixed it. And then he said, and then he put an arrow on the button. He said, "Press this button to start the machine." and then look in this
Stick
window.
your finger into the belt
Exactly,
to make sure it's
and just
working.
make sure it rips the skin clean off. And and it worked, and it was really cool. And then after I was done, I was able to watch him run the same simulation with a different person, so I could see from the person on the other side perspective.
So you were actually walking through the next person.
Right. It was neat. So then in layers, or in layout, the concept is, okay, we're purchasing these large machines, and I have so much room in my production area. So I want to take the images, and I'm going to place them these 3D models on the floor and decide where exactly they fit into space. And I can move them around, and then from there I can decide that's the layout.
What happened to cardboard models?
Yeah, no,
Scale
there's none of
200
that.
to
There's
1.
none of that. But
Moving them around and
yeah,
see if
no,
it
that's all
fits.
done. But what it made me think of is that is really incredibly cool, and there's a lot of fascinating capabilities out there for field service now. However, HoloLens is so expensive still.
How much is it?
It's over 3,000, I believe,
Yeah.
per.
Oh.
Yeah,
oh.
they're not cheap.
When I was talking this morning to someone, I was off by a digit.
Yeah, they're not cheap. They're not cheap at all. The last I checked. But so what I was thinking was, how do we reduce that barrier to entry? And
Drop the digit.
Well, exactly. But I thought, well, for a partner, what if you could offer not only the remote assist capability, but the HoloLens on a subscription model? Similar, and I got the idea from how I got an email saying you could buy an Xbox One on subscription, and it comes with Xbox Live and it comes with Game Pass. So you pay monthly, so you don't pay $500 for an Xbox, you pay $20 a month or whatever. So I applied that similar to a HoloLens for, think of a field service organization that has 500 reps or 500 field engineers. You license that, Well, so the developer edition is $3,000, but the actual suite is $5,000 for a HoloLens. But if you do that through a subscription model, then you can have higher economies of scale than you would with a 5,000 unit.
It's still early days, right?
Yeah.
3,000 is it's still on subscription. It's 300 a month.
Yeah.
Give or take.
But
It's still-
if you bundle that with a license, you know what I'm saying? There's ways you could do that to
We'll
really
see. We'll
make
see
that
what comes
innovation.
out, because the savings from proper use, if you properly use these technologies, the savings are tremendous. Like I was talking, one of students of mine, they manufacture pumps.
Yeah.
From tiny pumps to pump size of this building.
Yeah.
Right, and for them it's kind of it would be a good fit, because to design layout of the space required for the pump installation, that's kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
You spend literally days and days and weeks of people's time trying to work out how it's going to mount and how it's going to fit, and is there there's legislation that requires to have 2 meters space here
Right.
or there for security, for safety, occupational safety reasons, and
Right.
so all this sort of stuff. So that's interesting. Yeah, definitely. The other stuff I found interesting, that parts of Azure are now part of business applications.
Yeah. That's
Logic apps.
Yeah.
It's kind of, Flow, yes, but then Flow is Logic apps. So, and suddenly you find Logic apps, orchestration engine suddenly is part of business apps.
Right.
So we kind of started to blend with Azure, and you see more and more of that. So it was good to see at Ignite, kind of we're getting traction, people come into sessions. So when you say Power Apps, and discovered some interesting facts why it's Power Apps. So Power Platform is Power Apps, Power BI, and Microsoft Flow. Mm-hmm. Do you know why it's not Power Flow?
No.
Well,
Well, now that you say it out loud, it kind of makes me...
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if I want a power flow.
No, first of all, if you search for PowerFlow, you find article on Wikipedia for PowerFlow. It's an industry term, so it's a concept.
Okay.
It's a concept. It's it's got models and
Right.
it's not. Second, apparently, some muffler company trademarked it. So
well, if they can't trademark it, I could see why they wouldn't make that.
Yeah, so that's probably the reason.
Yeah.
They would love to have, Power Flow, but
Yeah.
it didn't work out. But everywhere you go, it's Power Apps. And,
Yeah.
I have to change mindset. I have to start renaming my presentations. And not Dynamics 365, it's now Power Apps.
Well, and that's going to open your audience up too, right? Because it's going to be more than CE. You're going to start getting F&O.
I'm not
folks.
sure if I want citizen developers on my presentation.
Well,
but,
but
have
that's
to
when
look after them. Have to look after them.
But then that gives you the ability to fill them full of scorn, right? When they're sitting there thinking they know what they're doing.
Sit down.
That's right. Yeah, you do not know what you're talking about. But go ahead.
It opens possibilities, right? And so instead of saying Dynamics 365, sales, marketing, field service, whatever, you now say Power Platform, and it's like, okay, well, what aspects of the Power Platform?
Right.
Projects that I'm on now, we're taking advantage of all of that technology, right? Power Apps, Flow, embedding that into mobile devices. It's just those approval processes now. There's so many advantages to it, but it is that whole paradigm shift in the way we think and the way we talk to customers or prospects to say to get them to change their mindset as well, because they still see it as CRM or ERP, so it's easy for us to grasp that concept, but to evangelize it to the greater masses, the end users, that's a big
you
big
kind
change.
of bring in interesting point. Like, I don't have customers on the same scale that you guys do, right? So, and the pace of changes picked up in the last year alone. It's just huge. The number of people who work on the platform in business apps in general is, you would never guess the number. Trust me.
Mm-hmm.
Take a shot at it.
10,000. I don't know. I have no idea.
4 million.
No idea.
Okay.
Yeah, I got nothing.
Yeah.
You said
no, but you were
yes.
close.
Okay.
You were close. 5,000.
Oh, okay.
So around, give or take, it's probably
Right.
6,000 by the end of this podcast. But
Right.
No, and it was like literally almost 5 times less of that like 2 years ago. So it's the number of people and the efforts Microsoft is putting into stabilizing the platform. The platform is baggage, right? Let's be honest about
Right.
it. And it's got like 15 years worth of
Sure.
baggage. You get service scheduling and look at it and you weep.
Yeah.
Right. Thanks God it's been deprecated and replaced with universal resource scheduling. And so all this baggage, and when you look at it, right, because it's monolithic, you never know. You pull that string, what else is going to come down?
Right.
So they go very carefully, but the focus for the next, 6 to 12 months is stability of the platform, and it's kind of you can have metrics on it, you can have reliability, you can have faith, and that's not going down, and they can do changes. So once they strengthen the platform, then they can pick up the pace even more, innovating and creating new things. So that's actually strikes me as it's a right move. It's a bit painful. We're in a kind of growth pain. I always compare it to, like, my son he's a teenager, right? And he's tall. He's taller than me, and he's still growing. And when they grow, it's really funny to observe. Like, he plays sports, and he comes across as uncoordinated. Well, he's well coordinated. It's not the problem. It's the problem is that his limbs of his are growing faster than his brain is catching up with the size of his new size of the limbs. Like, you wake up in the morning, everything is like 2 inches longer.
Yeah.
And your brain says, "Well, what's
and
going on?"
you got a head the size of Joel's cassava melon.
Yeah.
That's
And then that's it.
So brain is catching up.
Yeah.
So in 3 years' time, he's going to be a tall, well-coordinated young man. But for now, it's all over the place. So I feel like we're in the same boat. It's we're growing so fast that brain is still catching up with the limbs.
Right.
So we kind of in this awkward teenager stage where when we're done, we're gonna be like strong, tall, broad-shouldered,
Lean and
beautiful,
Well, and
not bald,
well, and
with reasonably sized head.
yeah, and you make really valid points, George, in terms of the stability, right? It's the foundation, right? If we go, I've worked with other platforms, and it's all about the next big item, big bang for the buck, the buzzwords, and just keep building on, and new features, but not really looking at the underpinnings of the foundation of the application and making those changes. So you start seeing a lot of downtimes or service outages or things like that, and you have to wonder why. So what Microsoft's doing now, in my opinion, is, it's smart. It's like, hey, we're still going to innovate, but we also have to take a look back at some of those, like you said, those underpinnings of, older functionality and things like that, and start unraveling that so that when we move forward, we don't take 5 steps back because now we have a big issue that we didn't even, think
that's
of.
the whole re-platform, that's the whole motion behind the platform.
Yep.
So now we have XRM. We've been talking about probably 12 years now.
Yeah.
We do have XRM SKU, which is P1. P2.
Yep.
P2 is XRM SKU. We've always been talking about. So it's happened. It happened. So, but I completely forgot my question. So my question to you guys was that you see the pace of innovation picked up. Like it's how you bring customers into that. How you explain to the customers customers are always kind of particularly large customers. They're kind of on a conservative side of things.
Right.
How you bring them up to speed, how you make sure that they don't miss that train that's picking up pace as we speak.
Yeah, it's a difficult, especially now given that the updates are required. You can't not take it.
Oh, you can. You just abandon your license as you walk away.
Exactly.
Update no longer required.
Right. So
Go back to paper.
So basically, one of the tacks that I take with this is, as the new features are coming out, you have to try to build them into a roadmap of the project that you're working on, right? Identify the areas of investment that the customer needs to make, and tie it to the requirements, the user stories, and how it's going to enhance those things. Where there's a not necessarily a functionality change, but a UI change, like unified interface. We face this on a project we're working on right now, and we made a declarative decision that in the second wave of this project, everything will be unified interface. Full
Sounds
stop.
like a horror movie. First wave,
Yeah.
second wave. What was the movie? Fifth wave? Yeah, that was
Fifth
crap.
wave. Yeah, it was
A sequel's always worse than the first one.
Yeah.
So.
But that was we had to do it that way so that they could understand and have the time to consume the information and understand the benefit, so that we could document it, properly convey it, and sell it to executives. That's really what you have to do. You have to be. And luckily, we're in a position as MVPs where we get the information a little bit ahead of time, so we can formulate that story in such a way that when it's near time, we can deliver it.
Yeah, we kind of been doing the same. That we've been running business application developer masterclass. So we ran it in Europe earlier this year, and we ran it in Toronto and Colorado. Between the conferences, between Ignite and CRM UG, so we had quite a few developers attending it. So the idea is not so much teach developers what they can do now. There's DLP for that. There are some trainings for that. So you go in how you build solutions and this and that and this. It's more kind of open their eyes what is coming. And it's forward-looking class. We're still catching up on what we're doing now, but we're kind of looking forward and saying you need to learn about custom connectors, you need to learn about virtual entities, this is how you do it, this is what you look out for. Come next release, we're going to have Canvas apps embedded into
Right.
model-driven apps, and then we have Power Apps Control Framework that is currently in preview. How is that going to change the way you develop apps? So you no longer have web resources, you have controls. Those controls will inevitably be flowing between model-driven and Canvas, so that's the intent. So to make them interchangeable, so suddenly it's going to be blend. So we're teaching them what to look forward to and what technologies to learn, so they're prepared for the next move. It's been getting, we're getting full classes. So.
Well, are you doing it in such a way that you can then they could be repeat customers for all intents and purposes and go to the next level the next time around? So you're teaching them future thinking. Then when that future thinking is current day, are you going to go to the next?
What helps is that we kind of intended to run it twice a year, like Europe and North America. Depends, but that's the intent. So we got good feedback, and accidentally we have April 1st and October 1st releases.
That's right.
So we do have, twice a year, we do have something new to talk about. And it's been released as release, so we get in, release notes 4 months before.
Yep.
Everyone gets release notes 4 months in advance.
Right.
As MVPs, we get in our hands on certain things ahead of time.
Sure.
And so that definitely helps. So it's ongoing things, so come next round of releases of new things, then definitely comes the next wave of releases. We're ready with new materials, and it's ongoing improvement. That's actually been a bane of training as it stands now. It used to be like releases every 3 years. So you create training, it lasts forever.
Right.
You can milk it and what's not, right?
Right.
Now it's ongoing task. Like by the time you finish your material creation, the module 1 is already obsolete or changed enough, so you have to go back and change it. It's a big, big challenge.
Yeah. Look at just unified interface. If you have any training materials that reference the old images of the classic UI, all of that is updated.
No, but I'm talking about.
But it's everything. But
that's
yeah.
Okay.
But it's the functionality as well that all of a sudden that's obsolete.
No, I'm talking about even smaller things. I'm talking about that's on a kind of larger scale. That's you can adjust. Unified interfaces common. Classic interface. I figured out. Classic means when anything is called classic, it's on its way out.
Yes.
It may come back when it becomes vintage. Like we see some goodness of CRM 4 UI coming back with navigation, right?
We do.
So like colored icons. Well, turns out that was a good idea.
Yeah.
And left navigation was a good idea.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's coming back like renewed, so vintage stuff.
Yeah.
But classic stuff on way out, that kind of I can deal with. What's hard to deal with is, for example, we open Flow. And it used to be add action. Add condition.
Right.
Condition moved to action, so now you have to go add action and then find condition. Condition is one of the actions. And it kind of makes sense when it's explained to us. Oh, yeah, you kind of nod and say, yeah, it makes total sense. Except now I have to go and redo all the screenshots because they don't match what you see. Speaking of developer class, students say, the lab you gave us as a homework, it doesn't work. And we kind of told, yes, functions moved to version 2. Version 2 is on .NET Core. The way you build things is different, and you get it by default. And all our exercises were on function version Azure Functions version 1.
Yeah.
And that was easy because we said, hey, look, sorry, you just flick this switch before you build anything, and you're good to go. But we want version 2, so now we have to kind of redo some of this stuff, some of the materials. So that's quite challenging.
Yeah. Now, how does someone register for the Bad Masterclass if they want to?
At the moment, we don't have schedule yet, so we've been waiting for the schedule of for the conferences. So now we know when CRM UG EMEA is coming. We know when Business Application Summit is coming. We know when Ignite is coming. So we kind of can plan the next year. We'll be publishing. So currently, like the past classes, you can go and have a look where we've been on crmtipoftheday.com/masterclass. But there will be new schedules, and we obviously will be broadcasting. So keep your eye on CRM Tip of the Day. So we keep publishing tips.
Well, and you ran an academy class for UG Summit, did you not?
Pre-academy class. That's different audience. So you get mixed audience. Well, I love coming to CRM UG, which is incidentally, size of CRM UG now is the same. Almost the same as size of Convergence. People always say amazing? Convergence was like humongous.
Yeah.
It wasn't that big.
Yeah.
Right. It was large conference by far, but it gave impression that it's bigger than it actually was.
Oh, absolutely.
Maybe because half of Microsoft was there.
Yeah. I think probably. Yeah.
But now CRM UG is almost the same size, so that's impressive. And you've got completely different audience. So, 52% of people here are new to this conference. It's like, it's my turn to go now.
Yeah.
But you talk to users. You talk to actual people who use the system. People doing presentations and they're saying, we got do we have any partners in the room? And it's like one hand goes up. Okay, do we have any kind of developers in the room? One hand goes up. Do we have any users? It's like the rest of the hands goes up. Like full room, and you're talking to users. So I love to talk about those concepts. People come and they're actually freshmen, and they're very keen to learn.
Yeah.
And the only challenge is you never know how far back you need to go. You kind of assume that everyone knows what roll-up field does, and then half of the room has no idea. And you kind of step back and go through basics. But we've done some pre-conference training. It's always good to see kind of bunch of people willing to learn who are not developers, like they're users of the system. They want to know more. They want actually to become, as cheesy as it sounds, they want to become citizen developers. They want to get to the next level. They're currently clicking around. We want to get them to the next level where they can put together a Power App or two, have a hero story within the company.
And I think we need a few more hero stories that aren't games.
Games.
The Power App games. I love my buddies that make the games, but we need some more.
I was told it's like, look, I'm not into Canvas, deep into Canvas yet. But people saying, people creating games, and it's like, is it the same? Remember, Leon did the Hangman using CRM?
Right. Yeah.
And is it on the same, like Dungeons and Dragons?
No,
you standing in the dark corner in the
so
facing northeast.
It's so much deeper. They're making virtual copies of Super Mario Brothers on a Canvas app, and it's a great way to understand how to know where positions are on the screen, how to use the different galleries, how to use the different functions. But I really want to see more business-based Power Apps.
Games.
Yeah, than games. So,
it's cool. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, it is.
It definitely showcases the possibility.
It's a great educational tool.
Yeah, you have to learn lots of stuff. Because Canvas is about pixel perfect.
Right.
So, and that gives you kind of enough hands-on to understand how pixelation works.
Yes.
Well,
exactly.
and think about even the younger generation. You have kids in middle school, high school, STEM related.
Yeah.
To get them, Fortnite, for example. I hear about it all day long.
I got nothing for Fortnite.
But it could get that future generation excited.
In case you didn't get it, that will sound me shooting myself.
Yes. Well, if you can get them away from Fortnite and get them in front of a Canvas app and maybe put that to good use, get them excited about.
So you guys have a bunch of sessions. I've got only one session to go. So I did the pre-academy class, and I have only one talk tomorrow. But
we have two coming up.
You've got two coming up, and you've done like 17.
No, I only had three. I only had three total. We did one today on the field service mobile app, We're doing a session tomorrow on.
So it's not. This one is not deprecated, not offline.
No,
because the mobile is offline. Mobile offline is offline. Sorry.
Yes, this one has offline capability.
That's
it's the field service mobile.
It's RESCO-based, right?
RESCO-based, yes.
Yeah, okay.
And
you're in trouble now.
No, I'm not. I said field service mobile like 3 times. So, and then tomorrow we have a project service automation talk, where we're going to go into depth about project service automation,
and extending that, and
and using it in tune with field service and customer service. And then we have a panel discussion. Scott, Gustav Westerlund, Rick McCutcheon, Chuck Ingram from Avanade, Jason Latimer from Power Objects. We're all going to talk about how field service can drive digital automation or digital transformation. So, because a very simple field service engagement has tendrils throughout the entire system and into the ERP. So then you start getting into the conversation about serialized product and how does that transform your ERP scenario, and how do you book business, and how do you recognize revenue, and so it should be a really good conversation tomorrow.
Okay. That's
yep. How do you order parts when your inventory is in the ERP and you have a technician in the field?
Right.
Pick up a phone and say, John, do you have part 72? Can you put aside 3 for me?
Yeah,
Thanks.
that is how it's done currently. Yes. But we're going to talk through.
I owe you one, buddy.
Yeah, exactly. Right now, we're customizing field service to allow truck-to-truck transfers, and then
in motion,
and
so
then you
it's kind of
synchronize.
like refueling trucks in motion. 80 miles an hour on a
That's
highway.
right. I pull right up next to Shawn.
Mission Impossible.
Throw it over.
I throw that spare parts toolkit to him.
And Shawn is not there because it's a Tesla truck.
That's right.
Shawn, where are you?
So,
that's fun. No,
Yeah.
I'm talking about tomorrow we're going to be talking about money. I'm switching my talks. It's kind of I switch from pure developers talk. I now recognize that developers can do lots of damage, financial damage to. No, they deliver good stuff, but they can do lots of financial damage to the final product because they create things without thinking how much it's going to cost to run.
Right.
Remember, Azure is all about consumption.
Right.
And when developer does their testing, they've got 20 contacts. I've done my testing. Fine. And then you run the same thing. It is 5 million contacts. And suddenly you receive $38,000 bill at the end of the month. And say, what just happened?
Yeah. And hopefully.
And developers say, I was fine.
Yeah. And hopefully we have another initiative going for April. Or no. I'm sorry. January. Where we're going to run, in conjunction with CRM UG, an Azure Day Camp, because the virtual service summer camp was so successful. We're going to do a single day camp on Azure with a consultant, architect, and a developer track.
Perfect.
And hopefully we can answer questions like that and get a lot of folks. So we're going to get a call for proposals out mid-November. And we're right now tentatively scheduled for the Azure Day Camp on January 15th, I believe.
Brilliant.
So, yeah.
I'll come. Well, come.
Yeah.
You see me doing air quotes and talk. Yeah.
Well, and one of the things we want to do that we weren't really able to do successfully with the virtual service summer camp is have a more global focus to allow you, if you wanted to participate, to do your session in your local time.
Oh, really good.
And then replay.
So,
for
as
North
I said,
America, for
all
example.
initiatives are about taking over people's lives. So we had like jobs.
Mm-hmm.
Now we have 365 Saturdays. That on odd occasion I was told expands to
Fridays,
weekend,
yes.
or Fridays.
Yeah.
There's a D365.
If there's a hackathon, then it
A
goes to Sunday.
hackathon is going to Sunday, so
Right.
taking over your weekends, and now
Yeah.
we're talking 24/7, so taking over your sleep as well. So now basically,
You're eat, sleep,
Business-
breathe, power app.
business
Power platform.
applications MVPs taking over your life 1 hour at a time.
That's right. That's right.
24/7.
That's
Yeah.
right.
So
Come to Seattle at the end of the month.
Yeah.
You could do D365 Saturday on Friday.
that's right. There is a
November 2nd, right?
November 2nd.
As much as I love coming to US, I think my visa is about to expire, so I better go back. No, that's enough travel for me for a while.
Yeah.
So it's been great, but going from Tampa, which is like 110 and humidity, about probably 120% humidity.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, and then going to Colorado, where it's like I was told
Dry
now
as
it's
a bone.
no, it doesn't dry a bone. It's like 18 Fahrenheit and,
Very
700 feet above the sea
Yeah.
level. So that's a bit different. So,
Yeah.
so you dry like a prune and you freeze. So that's kind of, enough of that. So Arizona, though, Phoenix been mild so far. So
It's been very nice. It's been surprising and a little bit chilly, which I didn't expect this morning. So, well, I think that is a great note to wrap it up on this Joel-less podcast. And
Is that like joyless or joyful?
oh no, it was joyful and triumphant. I just
Joel-less.
it was just Joel-less. So our friend will be back on the next episode, I'm sure.
I'm sure he will edit.
Oh he's going to
He
be
will
editing
edit
this.
some
So
nastiness.
We should have had
into it.
GPS tracking.
yeah,
on
we
them.
should. Yes, exactly. So with that, we will see you next time on CRM Audio. On behalf of Scott LeFante and George Doubinski, have a great one.
This has been CRM Audio, the Dynamics 365 podcast. Send us your feedback at voice@crm.audio. Check out our other shows at crm.audio or subscribe on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, Stitcher, TuneIn, and any place else podcasts are offered. This podcast is a production of Dynamics Podcast LLC.